Welcome to day 4 of the Summer of Self-Love Challenge. You guys, can you believe we're already at day 4? This is crazy. It's flying by. I'm having so much fun with all of you. I'm being so encouraged and so inspired by the way you guys are leaning in and are so committed to this process, to the growth, to the learning, but mostly I'm really inspired by how you're putting this all into action. So way to go. Keep it up. 2 more days. They're going to be the best days. Let's go. Okay, today we're talking about clarifying boundaries. And this is such a powerful day for us because here's the thing. Boundaries really create a framework of protection and a framework of reinforcing who it is that we want to be, how it is that we want to show up, the parents we want to be, the business people that we want to be, the ways, the wives we want to be, right? Just the ways in which we want to show up in this world. So yes, boundaries can keep things out. Absolutely. But more importantly, they keep the good things in. They protect the way it is that we want to live, the way we want to show up, our goals, how we want to be, what it is that we're becoming and working toward. And without intentional boundaries, it's really hard to consistently show up in the way that we want to show up with intentionality, to show up with purpose. It's really hard not to just grasp at those low-hanging fruit when we are feeling dysregulated, when we are tired, when we are overstimulated, when we have a lot going on. So to live to our potential, to be the best women that we can be, the best moms that we can be, the best friends, daughters, wives, all of those roles, it's really important that in order for us to stay in alignment with our highest self, in alignment with how we want to show up, we have to do the work and we have to clarify what that line is and draw that line in the sand to protect what's important to us. And that's really boundary work. Now, here's what's so cool about boundaries. Yesterday was all about connecting with the joy of our inner child, and it was powerful. So many of you shared with me how quickly you were able to shift whatever state you were in into a state of joy with the exercises that I taught yesterday and setting your joy alarms. And it was awesome. So this, in a way, is a continuation of that, because hear me, boundary is one of the most powerful ways to increase your joy. Joy is a byproduct of strong boundaries, right? Because what happens is that boundaries take us out of our default mode. Boundaries take us out of our temptation to just like slump back into our old patterns or be lazy in our thinking or default to old ways of being. So it's really important that we have patterns in place, boundaries in place, not only when we're at our best, but we really need boundaries in place for days when we're not at our best, because our boundaries are what are going to protect us in those times. Now, all of us have a view of who we want to be, right? We have all these visions, these ideas, like I want to be this kind of mom. I want to be this kind of business owner. I want to have this kind of, financial status or career success or this kind of health. This is how I'm going to nourish my body. This is how I'm going to move my body. And all of those things are amazing, guys. But without boundaries, those are just aspirational. Those are just inspiration, right? Those are just like goals. Without boundaries, it's really hard to effectuate and actualize those aspirations. So boundaries do so much to keep us on track with who we want to be and how we want to be. So before we can set our boundaries, we first have to decide what it is that we want to protect. If our boundaries are to protect, we have to decide what it is that we want to protect. So that's where we're going to start today. Let's go into the challenge. Challenge number 1 is you're going to identify your core values. So you can go to Google or whatever search engine you guys use. Go ahead and Google like core values list. That should be sufficient. It's going to bring up a bunch of different lists of core values, hundreds of them. Now, don't get stuck in analysis paralysis. Give yourself, 5 minutes to do this. But what you want to do is you want to go through these values and start to really narrow them down and pare them down to your top 5 values. So if you find that you're starting to narrow them down and some are, pretty similar, like, I don't know, thoughtfulness and caring, let's say, for example, those are similar enough that you might just choose one and really try to narrow it down till you have your 5 top values. Now, these are not your husband's top 5 values. These are not your mom's top 5 values. These are not your best friend's top 5 values. These are your top 5 values. So really make sure that you're checking in with the top 5 things that are most important to you. Again, it's not to say that all the other things are not important, but you really want to choose for this exercise your top 5. And here's the thing. Once you have those top 5, those become your compass. Those become your the metric with which you decide and make decisions and set boundaries in all areas of your life. So if I have a top 5 value of being present with my family or with my children, let's say, and I get asked to go on a, I don't know, evening happy hour after work or on a trip or something, I will weigh that against my top 5 values. So if I have a value that is to be present with my family and I've been invited to do something that's not in alignment with those values, I have a decision to make. But when you have your core values and you can really use them to set boundaries, it ensures that you are living in alignment. And if I do choose to step outside of it and go to this is a stupid example, but go to the happy hour or go on the trip or whatever, that's fine. I'm making an intentional choice and that's okay. But the thing is that there's intention behind it, right? I'm weighing my pros and cons. I'm saying, hey, I'm not going to do this every night, but it's okay if I do this once a month or whatever the decision is, but I'm still aware of my core value and I'm still ensuring that that core value is being protected by my boundaries. So that's your first assignment. That's your first challenge for today. Take your core values list, take your top 5, plop them in the Facebook group. We want to see them. I want to see yours. I'll share mine with you. And then the second thing you're going to do, the second part of the challenge today is you're actually going to set and hold a new boundary. Now, there are boundaries that all of us know that we need to set, right? Whether consciously or unconsciously. So I gave you 3 examples in the landing page. So make sure you scroll down and you can take a look at the different types of boundaries. I gave you boundaries around your attention, boundaries around behavior, and boundaries around your bandwidth. Now, yes, there are boundaries you can create about what you will allow in your presence and to you and from other people, right? There are also boundaries around how you spend your time, how you think, your thoughts, your ideas, your actions, your behaviors, your words, your mindsets, all of these things. So you can really choose anything you want to choose that is going to protect your core values. So take a look at those 5 core values. Decide a boundary you're going to put into place today. I'm not going to allow this. I am going to allow this. And then actually hold it. I want you to actually hold it. That's the practice. Enforce the boundary. Now, one more quick word about boundaries. Boundaries are not rules. I'm going to say that again. Boundaries are not rules. So I might have a rule that says, you can't yell at me. You cannot yell at me. That is a rule, right? Now, here's the thing. I cannot control that person's behavior. So if they do yell at me, there's nothing I can do about it. I can't control other people. That's a rule. Now, a boundary, which is different than a rule, a boundary controls my behavior. And it says something like, hey, I don't allow people to yell at me. If you decide to raise your voice, I'm going to walk away. I'm going to go in the other room. I'm going to finish the conversation and hang up the phone. I'm not going to come around for, I don't know, Thanksgiving dinner anymore, whatever it is, right? Boundaries are around our own behavior. So if you do this, if you say this is boundaries you set around other people, right? If you comment this, if you do this around my kids, here's what I'm going to do, because that's the only thing I can control. Me, myself, and I. Okay. So I want you to choose a boundary, either around where you're putting your attention, a boundary around behaviors, either what you're going to allow around you or something within your own behavior that you're going to allow or not allow. And then you could also choose a boundary around your bandwidth. I'm going to choose to say no more. I gave some examples here about ways in which you can create margin and stillness and white space and all of these beautiful things that our nervous system thrives on in order to protect your bandwidth. All right. If you want to drop your boundary, the new boundary you're setting in the Facebook group too, I would love to see it and support you. I can give you my ideas, anything, pointers, coaching, anything that I have on the boundary that you want to set. But make sure to share them in the group. List your top 5 core values. Let us know what boundary you're enforcing. We can help hold each other accountable. I love you guys so much. You're going to have a great day today, all about boundaries, protecting our joy and protecting our core values. I'll see you in the Facebook group at 12:30 Eastern for our live. Those have been so fun. This is our next to last one. It's crazy. And then I'll catch you here tomorrow for day 5. All right, friends, be well.